Welcome back from the weekend, and it seems like we've got some basketball action, everybody. Welcome to the PHLY Sixers podcast, live from the Xfinity Lounge. It's great to be back with you all at the start of the week, as we know that we're going to have some basketball later on in the week, 2 times on Thursday and Saturday. It's the PHLY Sixers podcast presented by our good friends from Rothman Orthopedics. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY. And for how many years, Kyle?
48 straight years, Devon.
Felt like 48 years since we've had some basketball, and we are back. And
It sure has felt that long.
Visit your local Ford store. We're definitely going to do a mailbag Monday today, but we're going to start off with our practice and training camp observations from the weekend first. Catch up on some media day stuff, maybe for some who may not have been in here with us on Friday. We'll get to the mailbag part of the show on the back end. But before we do get started with everything, we want to let everybody know that we do have some things to tell you about as we start the show off here. And those are, as we begin, I've got to tell you about joining the Diehard community, becoming a Diehard member.
Look at those hats.
And choosing your perk at allphly.com. We have two ways for you to sign up to become a Diehard member. Your membership can start with a $36 limited edition shirt, where you can choose from Sixers, Phillies, Flyers, or Eagles. Or you can choose the $59 package there with the green branded Bills Diehard hat, limited quantity, everybody. So if you want that hat and you want to be a part of the community with the hat, you got to go and do that sign up. You get full access to premium content, events, merch discounts, plus more. Don't wait. The hats will sell out fast. $36 or $59, all at allphly.com. And when you do that and you want to read some of the content there, you get the early bird from EJ and the Eagles team overall in depth.
4-0, baby.
Stories from EJ, Bo, Fran, and Les Bowen. And this week, story is up this morning after the Eagles defeated the Bucks on Sunday. They're 4-0, as Kyle said, but they still have a ton of questions right now. What's going on with the running game? A.J. Brown, again, not happy, but they're still 4-0. But go read the early bird.
I have an A.J. Brown take for the end of the show. We'll save that for later.
Make sure you go check out the early bird with the Eagles. And also, as we start the show off, as we ask you to become a Diehard member and sign up at allphly.com, we got to talk to you about the story that's up on the site right now. Kyle's story about VJ Edgecombe and the rave reviews that he's getting from the first 2 days of camp. If you go back to Saturday, there's also a story up from day one observations from Joel Embiid, Dominick Barlow, so on and so forth. That's all at allphly.com, and that's where we're going to begin today with our training camp observations. With Jared McCain out of the lineup with the UCL injury to his thumb, Quentin Grimes still unresolved. 2 days left, Derek, until October 1st. By the way, you said October 30th, right? For the resolution to whatever Quentin Grimes?
October 1st.
October 1st?
Yeah.
You said the 30th.
You're talking about a prediction. Okay, yeah.
Yes, you said the 1st, you said the 30th. I said the 2nd. They would give him the extension, but it seems like he's not getting the extension.
He's not
getting
like
it.
that's
So I'm
been ruled
out. So I'm out. So it's left up to Derek and Kyle. With that being said, thank you, Bree.
There you go.
Appreciate it. With that being said, and the injuries and the absence.
What was your theory there? Because if they granted the extension, why wouldn't you just say like October 8th, like the full extension? Like why the day after?
I just thought they would get it done pretty quickly, and it was just all of can I ask for it? Can I get it? But we still come to an agreement pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think you're gonna. I don't think you're winning that.
Yeah,
one.
I think I'm out on that one. That's okay.
That's right.
You're putting the predictions out and being wrong. I'm okay with that.
You're getting into preseason prediction mode early. You're
exactly.
Here we go.
Exactly. But with it, he's not there. McCain can't play. He's back here in Philadelphia with us. VJ Edgecombe is on the trip to Abu Dhabi for the 2 games Thursday and Saturday. And if he is fine and he stays healthy, Kyle, some good things coming.
Knock on wood on that one, because it is the Sixers we're talking about.
With that being said, there were some good things that came out of Saturday and Sunday with people, personnel, both coaches and players, talking about how good he has looked so far.
Yeah, and from media day, frankly, right?
And
from guys
day.
Playing scrimmages with VJ as they come in. We heard a lot over the weekend about the no foul scrimmages that they're just it was really funny, honestly, because depending on who you talk to,
Yeah.
it was like, these have been a bloodbath.
And
So
Nick
like,
Nurse was like, guys, you're making way too
it's
big of a
like,
deal out
yeah,
of this.
you know, it just didn't whistle a lot. So take it for what it's worth. Take it with a grain of salt. But I think the VJ feedback we've gotten has largely been the same as we were getting. As you know, we all talk to our people around the league. He's going through the workout process. We talked to Scott Drew, Baylor head coach, and a constant theme emerges as you talk to people who are around VJ. It's like this kid comes in every day and leaves an impact, right? That doesn't mean he comes in and he scores 20 points a game. It doesn't mean that every day looks the same, but the level of professionalism, the level of competitiveness is the thing that keeps him out in front and at the front of the mind of coaches and teammates. And I know it was just an end of practice session of one-on-ones, right? You don't read almost anything into stuff like that. But I was talking with Derek and Devon and people at the facility yesterday before the Birds game, and I said, no, I think if there was anything that we didn't see at Baylor, then now I'm just starting to wonder if this truly was a product of coach and system and ask. His mid-range and his pull-up game in the in-between areas looks a lot more developed than I was expecting coming in. Because, I mean, look, we on the show, we probably went through his pull-up shooting numbers 75 different times, right? In terms of the volume, the efficiency. And from mid-range, it was basically non-existent. He did not take pull-up twos in college. And then you watch him in the first summer league game where he takes a ton of shots, a lot of them being those long twos, free throw line, jumper type area. You see his comfort level there. You look at these one-on-ones he plays against Maxey, and just the fluidity that he's showing there, handle into the gather, into the release, shooting with good balance in terms of being square to the basket, whether he's at the elbow, he's on the side, he's out front. All the pieces of that there are there for him as far as we can see. And so that a little bit changes the calculus on how effective can this guy be as an offensive player early on, right? If you put the ball in his hands, can he do more? Because we believed in the playmaking, the slashing, the off-ball cutting, all that stuff. But maybe there is more on-ball juice than we were expecting right away. So you add that on top of everything we hear from his teammates about, like Justin Edwards said on day 2 of camp, he already looks comfortable, right? This is not a kid who's coming in deer in the headlights. Oh, I'm taking a long time to adjust to NBA speed, NBA athleticism, which was very funny because the day before, VJ's talking about his first camp and he's like, honestly, the most surprising thing is how good everybody is. So you hear that and you're like, surely there's going to be a learning curve and it's going to be tough for him. But to a man, everyone that has been asked about VJ Edgecombe has said some version of, no, this kid is ready. This kid's coming in every day and leaving an impact on these practices, on these scrimmages. And so again, he's got to play real games first, right? We got to see him against live competition, against hostile competition for that matter. But everything we're hearing so far is very good.
Yeah, look, is it early? Is it a one-on-one at the end of scrimmage? Yes. We spent 40 minutes talking about a 5-second Joel Embiid turnaround jumper. Of course, we're going to make a meal out of this one.
As we should have.
Yes. This is the only basketball we've seen in so freaking long. And to Kyle's point, like, you know, we brought this up when it happened in the summer league, but he made 13 pull-up jumpers at Baylor, pull-up twos at Baylor last year. He made like 5 in his first summer league game. It's clear that there was a mandate from Baylor to, you know, avoid those shots, and that mandate was lifted in summer league. And look, if we're talking in 5 years from now, he hasn't developed into being like a primary, or at least a secondary scorer, like a real legitimate 20-plus scoring threat. You can be like, all right, dial some of those mid-rangers back. Like those mid-rangers cannot come at the expense of you developing legitimate three-point range. Mm-hmm. But as we're trying to evaluate how much shot creation juice he has, as we're trying to evaluate how much he can get to his spots, that pull-up jumper is going to be crucial. And not just a pull-up jumper, but like a short range jumper, something to throw defenses off so they can't just meet him at the rim time and time and time again. It is going to it's going to make the rest of his game and his ability to get the bucket a little bit easier if you keep them off balance. And it certainly seems like that skill set that he has and something that he can build off of. And I agree with Kyle's main point. Like, I don't think this is going to be something where he is not ready for the moment. Like, he might not be ready from a skill perspective. Like, he might need to work on his handle or maybe that three-point shot. It's going to take some time to get that range all the way out there. But in terms of a mentality, in terms of a professionalism and approach, I certainly think everyone has full confidence in him, and everything that we've heard over these first couple of days just reinforces that.
You just heard the right things that you want to hear from your third overall pick of coming in right away. And while we've talked about him being in a different situation in other spots with a team that does not have, well, you always have the aspirations, but you're just simply not good enough. But those teams where he could stand out there and take maybe 15 to 20 shots a game, that's not going to be his role here. He may have those nights of an 82-game schedule, but overall, it's about fitting in, finding his way, as he talked about on that Saturday conversation with the media, about just finding a spot and doing everything that the coaches and the players have asked of him. Now, when it comes to the video that Kyle was talking about, or just simply watching him in the gym, as he was doing those shots, and we talked about it yesterday. We didn't even talk about it on Saturday. I know Kyle and I didn't until Sunday. And I was thinking a similar thing of how he looked with the fact that he was able to get to those spots. And when they typically ask these guys to do that in those one-on-one type of settings, is less dribbles, get to your spot, and be real definitive of what you want to do when you're doing that. And while he was going against Maxey, a smaller player, Maxey's stronger than maybe he looks because he's a smaller player, but he's also doing so against a 6'8" Dominick Barlow when he's out there, and he's getting a pretty good arc on that shot. And I think what plays into it for him also is that athleticism that they focused on with the player that they drafted in Edgecombe, where you are going to sometimes have to use and rely on your athleticism to get a good lift up off the floor, still keep your form shooting while getting that shot off over a taller player with that extension of the wingspan, and get a good look at the rim. We talked about it even with Jared McCain from last year, where you watch him in games, and when he was doing it, he's 6'1", 6'2", but he has a strong lower base, and he knows how to play off of 2 feet. It's not necessarily a disadvantage for him because of the lack of height. And the other part for me, where we're talking about a third overall pick in Edgecombe standing out early and getting some praise from their open runs as well on media day conversations that the guys are talking about, is that we heard the same thing last summer at the end of the summer, going into training camp about Jared McCain, day 1, day 2. And we were like, all right, yeah, right. Now, there's a difference between a 16th overall pick and a number 3 overall pick, one being 6'5" and the other being 6'1", 6'2", and just having your thoughts about the player. But we're hearing it again. And we've talked about how if there's one thing that Daryl Morey has done right, it's he had drafted well. And so the early returns of hearing that about VJ Edgecombe, of how good he looks, how good he belongs, how much he belongs out there on the floor, being able to play in the Rico Hines runs if he was out there, playing with Tyrese Maxey here, and making it a point of asking all the questions that he can ask, and annoying Tyrese Maxey, as he said, of just asking 20 different
questions. And Andre Drummond, too. We talked about it Friday.
Yes.
Before even being like, hey, how are you? Apparently, VJ went up to Andre Drummond and was like peppering him with questions.
Ask the questions.
How do I get better?
Because you don't know anything yet. Yep. So you ask the questions to the veterans, and you like to hear that from the young guy, of wanting to get better and absorb all that knowledge, take it all in, soak it all in for when he is ready. Because there are going to be mistakes in game 1 on Thursday. There are going to be mistakes in game 2 on Saturday. But as he gets out there and he continues to get better, by game 15 and 20, we're going to see some things that you see that he improved on. And Kyle, you had asked Nick Nurse about even the jump shot, of not just with Edgecombe asking him, but also asking Nurse about the jump shot and something that needed to be improved upon, and him having that attention to detail and understanding that he needed to get that line drive shot. I need to get some arc on it. And it was similar to when Ricky Council told us his rookie year of he hated watching that video after the fact.
To be clear, this is the last time we will ever compare VJ Edgecombe to Ricky Council.
Yes.
Go on.
It's the lesson that Ricky learned, yes, and the lesson that
we thought he learned.
We thought he learned. But it was more of he hated watching, Ricky did, of watching that old video and saying, why did no one tell me it looked like this? And he doesn't want to do it. And VJ saying the same thing, and knowing that, hey, in that shot, I know I have to get an arc on it. And if I don't, I already know that I didn't do what I was supposed to do and giving myself a better chance of making that shot.
It turns out that Ricky getting confidence in his jumper might have been his undoing, because next thing you know, he's pulling up from 30, being like, I got this.
Well,
Let me
they told him to back up a little bit.
No, but like I also thought it was interesting hearing VJ talk about, watching Tyrese and him being like, man, he can pull up from the logo 10 times in a row and all 10 of them look the exact same. And this is where having someone like Tyrese, who not only improves so much as a shooter, but has that kind of a work ethic, and you have confidence in VJ and him putting in the work, having I wanted to say an older player. It's a 6th year in the league, and Tyrese kind of pushed back on it.
He's a real
having
veteran
someone
at
who's
this
gone
point.
through this at this point and who's vocal about it and willing to show you the way, I think that's a real good pairing for them, both on and off the court.
And that was part of what I wrote about this morning. But just big takeaway from watching that end of practice stuff is like, these guys are supposed to be together in terms of the long term. The vision for the pick rests on VJ and Maxey in the backcourt, or VJ at maybe a small 3 playing next to Maxey in the backcourt and McCain and whoever else, right? But when you see them in practice and you think about exactly what Derek is talking about, right? VJ, huge reputation as a worker. Tyrese Maxey, huge reputation as a worker. And you see them out there in these 1v1s and you look at how intense they're getting, right? Because when we first got there early on in these 1v1 matchups, there was a little bit of like, I'm an all-star. I've been in the league 5-6 years. Tyrese playing it a little bit casually. And then as VJ starts to get his shots off and he's beating Maxey on either offense or defense, you can see Maxey take it more seriously, right? He's leaning into him. He's denying the entry pass from Rico out on the wing, right? He's trying to really defend this kid, get in his chest and challenge him. And VJ responded to that, right? He's shoving him. He's battling for position. And when you start the program, right, with guys like that who every single day they're in the gym together, whether it's on the same team and they're trying to win this scrimmage 11-0 against the opponent, or they're on opposite sides and they're trying to beat the other guy and be like, hey, I got you today, or I got you yesterday, or whatever it might be. Like, that sets the culture and the tone. When we talk about Tyrese Maxey saying we need to have a standard, that's how you have it, right? Where it's every single day. It doesn't matter if it's a little individual battle versus a game, a 48-minute game against an opponent. You need to come with that seriousness every day. Now, that being said, what I did think was also noteworthy was when we asked Nick Nurse about it after practice, like, hey, how much of their time is going to be spent, against one another to bring that out of him? He straight up said most of their time is going to come together, right? And so that's not Nick Nurse necessarily saying VJ Edgecombe is going to start, but he is not taking he's not putting brakes on the hype train. He is very much setting up like VJ and Tyrese are going to be on the floor together early, often, and all season. And so with Quentin Grimes still not signed and Jared McCain out of the lineup, it seems to me we are going to see this, unless they are resting guys and being, ultra cautious. We might see them together as soon as Thursday in the starting lineup.
The other thing I liked about the one-on-ones was that whether they're out there on the floor or not, VJ Edgecombe is going to be out on the floor. He's going to be the one that's defending some of those guards. He's getting a firsthand opportunity and simulation of battling some of the best small guards in the league when he has to defend them, because he has one right there with him in his gym. And when he is battling for that position, getting into his body, getting into that offhand while he's trying to receive that entry pass to the hand and trying to deny it, Tyrese Maxey is one of the best in the NBA. So when he does have to go against Jalen Brunson or Darius Garland or some of these other small guards, they're going to get him. They're going to win a lot of battles against him, but he's also at least going to have some of this knowledge from the simulation of what he's doing against Maxey every day from the summer to now in these practices, that he knows what it looks like and that he is ultra competitive. And when Kyle talks about the shoving and stuff, yeah, you're shoving for position, but while playfully, like full arm extension shove of Maxey and the one that we saw, yeah, it was playful, but it was also, I see no smile on his face.
I'm here.
I'm here right now. I know you got me. You just scored 3 in a row on Torrey Murray, Dominick Barlow, and me, and I'm back. You're not getting me again. And you love to see that from VJ Edgecombe because he's going to have to earn his time. It's not going to be shot making all the time early on for him. It's going to be the intangibles that's going to keep him on the floor. Those 50-50 balls getting on the floor, the deflections that they keep count of, getting out in the open floor and finishing, taking a good shot if it is a mid-range that Derek is talking about as well. All those things that he's learning right now are going to come into play and is really meaningful when those games actually start. And that's where these exhibitions are going to be good for him to get some of that, knock some of that rust off. He only played 2 games, all right? And we were hyped. Derek is right. We dissected a 5, 6, 7 second video of Joel Embiid, and we ran with all those 2 games, those summer league games that he had, those 2. Now he's going to go against some real NBA people on Thursday and Saturday, and we're going to see what it looks like. And then there's those other guys that he might be out there on the floor with on the back end of the Knicks roster that are trying to stay on the roster as well, or just simply get minutes and crack the rotation for a new head coach that's coming in. They're going to be battling too. So this is going to be really fun once we start to really break down what happens on Thursday and then ultimately Saturday as well to see what it looks like. But to hear that already from everyone that we had a chance to talk to, not just on Friday, but Saturday and Sunday, and even, off-camera stuff that you hear about them, it's encouraging to hear that they may have got that 3rd overall pick right with not only the player, but the person as well and how much he battles. All right, when we take a quick pause here, we come back. More observations that from Saturday and Sunday for what we heard and saw from the guys in the gym. Joel Embiid, you guys saw it. He was out there on Friday, but who was the dark horse name that we did not expect to hear Nick Nurse blurt out right away on Saturday? It was like, oh, okay, cool, because when we mentioned him, it's kind of
afterthought.
It's in the past, but not from the head coach. We'll tell you who that is on the other side right here on the PHLY Sixers podcast.
And guys, you may have been at a friend's house, yesterday, sitting there watching the second half, and you might think that it is, their setup is lagging, it is buffering. It's not just the Eagles' second half offense, it's also their poor setup, because you cannot have that, because if you're a sports fan, you have to have Xfinity. It's the ultimate sports destination where I can find the best games and my favorite teams all in one place. The way that I watch is next level. I've got all the action right in my living room, plus Xfinity's best picture and sound with enhanced 4K, so clear that it feels like you're in the arena. On top of that, I get real-time notifications and live stats right on my TV. It's the best seat in the house every time. Next game day, make sure that big fan isn't a big fail. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Restrictions apply. Multi-view requires Xfinity 4K capable TV box.
And we have to talk about our good friends, our partners here on the show, presenting sponsor of Rothman Orthopedics. My friends, your friends, and saw too many injuries from the NFL on Sunday. Hope everyone's okay, but you know me. I'm like, all right, I got you covered. I'll send you to Rothman Orthopedics. Jason Tatum is back out there on the floor. Kyrie Irving is back out there on the floor from their injuries with their ACL. I would have loved for them to go to Rothman Orthopedics like I did for my Achilles and my ACL. If yours is not as serious as mine, when it comes to those injuries, could be something of a sore shoulder, maybe your back is just out of whack and you need to get it addressed overall. Well, Rothman Orthopedics is the place for you to go. Proudly serving dozens of communities across Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Florida, and 30-plus convenient offices, urgent cares, and walk-in centers around the area, and in Philly, Center City, Northeast, and now at the Navy Yard. So if you are slowing down the season, you need to take that first step. Head to rothmanortho.com/PHLY. Learn more. Schedule your appointment today. That's Rothman Orthopedics, your mobility, their mission. Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers podcast here on this Monday as we have basketball this week. And you know what, Kyle? The future is bright.
Forgot my shades.
The future's. Let me look under the table because I don't see the
That's
other
okay.
ones there.
The future is bright with Shady Rays, though.
The future is bright with Shady Rays, and with the future being bright with Shady Rays, we got to tell you about. By the way, Shady Rays, your eyewear that has your back. Visit shadyrays.com. Got to tell you about a new candidate where the future might be bright for the guy simply because Nick Nurse called him out in a positive way.
Yes.
Dominick Barlow, two-way player. Apparently looking pretty good in day one.
He was not the guy whose name, you always ask, or someone always asks, hey, who jumped out at you today on day one, day two, opening stages of camp? Obviously, Jared was the big name last year that we learned not to completely dismiss if the head coach says, this guy is playing pretty well.
Yeah.
Pay attention. So Dominick Barlow was the surprise name, right? And Nurse was pretty straightforward. He's doing exactly what they want him to do. They want him to play up on the ball and use his size and athleticism on defense. He's doing that. He has been a live body on the glass, which I can't tell you how many conversations we had this summer off the show, on Twitter, in the Discord, wherever. How are they going to rebound the ball? Well, Dominick Barlow has done a very good job rebounding the ball so far, according to Nick Nurse. And one of the other interesting things was, I believe it was Paul Hudrick from Liberty Ballers asked him, has he been playing some 5 even, right? Because in the past, Barlow has split time in the front court. And Nurse said not much 5, but there's been a little bit of Barlow at the 3, which I'll be honest,
skeptical.
I have very little interest in, right? Based on lineup construction, and don't really trust him as a shooter and whatnot. But when we saw him in Summer League, he had a brief cup of coffee with the Sixers Summer League team this summer after signing a 2-way. He advocated for being there, like wanted to get out on the floor, wanted to play with some of these guys. I do think that his size and athleticism really popped right away. And so if you put that guy next to a much more skilled lineup than you're seeing in Summer League, I could see how he could be a useful rotation piece. And with Trendon Watford currently dealing with a hamstring issue, the question we probably all have right now is like, hey, maybe him or Jabari Walker could find a early rotation spot just because the opportunity's there. You go out and rebound the ball and don't junk up the offense. That might be all it takes at that spot.
Yeah. And look, they're so desperate for contributions at that spot that he's going to get a chance. And, he has certainly a bit of a unique skill set. All 3 of them do, really. You'd like for them to somehow combine and merge into one, but that is not, unfortunately, possible. Thinking Voltron here, but unfortunately, we've got to work with what we have. No, look, I mean, I think, clearly, I think Watford had him in the rotation. Walker, just because he has such a unique skill set, something that they desperately need. But if Barlow's able to go out there and hit the glass too, and maybe gives you a little bit better movement on the perimeter, he will get a chance too. Not only because I think, none of them are perfect players, but there's going to be injuries. There's going to be times when you're just want to give somebody else a look. I am intrigued by what he can bring, but, we'll see. I just wish maybe the ball handling a tiny bit more reliable, the shooting a little bit more reliable, something like that you can really bank on the offensive side, but we'll see.
I do go back to the game that he had against the Sixers in March. It was late March where he played against the Sixers. He was with the Hawks at the time, and he had about 13 points in that game. He was perfect from the floor, and I think he had 10 boards as well, 5 offensive on the glass. And he looked really good against the Sixers. It was kind of like a whatever because they were playing that version of the Sixers. So what are you really taking away from playing that particular version? No disrespect to who may have been out of there, O'Shea, Brissett, and those types of players. But once they signed him and we saw him in the Summer League and all that stuff, it made me think about it. And if I remember correctly, though, he did look like he could do some things out there on the wing just a little bit. In that game, he did make a 3-pointer, his only 3-point attempt, and it didn't look ugly. Now, we saw him in those ones, too. And they were getting the best of them. Now, they're supposed to be way better. They're ball handlers. They're elite. They're supposed to get the best of them. But again, his length and all, moving his feet, it looked pretty good. It looked solid. So with that and just being called out by Nick Nurse in a good way on day one, that obviously has your ears perked up a little bit of what else could he do, especially if it's not at the 5, but you can maybe swing a few minutes and steal a few minutes from the 3 with him, and you can have a bigger lineup with him out there on the floor at the 3. Who is it that is at the 4? If he's playing the 3, you would think it's somebody else with some size next to him too, right? And you're this big lineup.
Well, that's the other thing. Besides the shooting concerns at the 3, there's also just they have way more options at the 3 and very few at the 4.
Right.
So,
but that's where I'm intrigued, and that's where I'm curious of what might that look like. And that's where you do see some experimenting in practice and in these exhibition games in the preseason of what that could possibly look like. So I am very, very interested to see, once we do see them lace up on Thursday, if he gets the first call, whether starting or off the bench at the 4, and then what does it look like? What does he do? And does he make the most of those minutes out there?
And I would say this, I talked with somebody over the weekend after this came out from Nurse, right? Because it's like, we haven't really thought about this guy.
Sure.
We talked a lot more about Jabari and certainly Trendon Watford. and it was pointed out to me, and I thought it was a good point, right? His basketball career is a little unorthodox up to this point, right?
Yeah.
His senior year of high school, I believe, was when COVID hit or was impacted by COVID. So he didn't play many games when he was a high school senior. He doesn't go to college. He plays for Overtime Elite in their first season, right? And Overtime Elite has been, to be charitable, a little chaotic for the guys that are coming in there, has not necessarily been what it was billed as or what it could potentially be for those players. So you're talking about two very formative and important years where he's turning into who he might be as a basketball player and probably not getting as much as he should have from them, right? And then he's with the Spurs or the Hawks over the last few years, and he's not playing a ton of minutes outside of the G League, right? So you could argue that maybe this guy is a diamond in the rough, right? He's athletic enough. He's got good enough hands, good enough size that if he just commits himself in a couple different areas, and for Nick Nurse, that's play defense, rebound the ball, and play opportunistic offense, that could be enough to carve out like a long-term NBA niche. Now, I do think that probably relies on becoming a reliable shooter, right? Like these types of role players, even if you do all the dirty work in today's league, if you're not a trustworthy shooter, it's really hard to make it. But maybe he's just a guy who fell through the cracks a little bit, that you give him time, you keep him in your program, you build him up slowly. Maybe he's somebody that turns into something down the road. Because he's still pretty young too. He's what, like 22?
Yeah, I think
he doesn't
22.
turn 23 until May. So he's got some runway in front of him if he commits the time and if they can figure out a proper plan for him.
He's had some pretty big games in the NBA as far as his career highs goes. He's had 24 points as far as his points go, 24 points. He's had 19 a couple of times, about 3 times, 21. Rebounding wise, he has a career high 19 rebounds. He played 34 minutes that game. He went 8 for 11 from the floor for that 21. So a 21 and a 19 game against the Dallas Mavericks in 2023. So he's had some games, and if he can put it all together, maybe they found something. By the way, Glenn in the chat says, I would like to see Barlow at the 3 with Watford, Maxey on the floor at the 2 and the 1, Joel at the 5, George at the 4. So at that point, it's more Barlow at the 4, George at the 3 kind of thing, but I got it. 2 6'8" guys out there on the floor. Well, 3 6'8" guys out there on the floor.
Glenn wants some big ball, is what I'm hearing.
Big lineup with Maxey out there. I hear you, Glenn. That is our... Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Keep going. I'm sorry.
That is our Shady Rays Future is Bright of the day, presented by Shady Rays. Shady Rays is eyewear that has your back. Visit shadyrays.com. Dominick Barlow. Shady Rays Future is Bright. What were we going to say about that?
Nothing.
Okay.
Every joke that went through my head, I decided not to. So keep going.
All right. Well, we cannot do this and not talk about Joel Embiid as well. Participated in practice 1 on Saturday. So when we come back, we'll talk about him, get to the mailbag questions. It's a Mailbag Monday, everybody. Practice observations from the first 2 days of camp. They're in Abu Dhabi. They have landed, everyone. Maybe show you some things from that as well as we hang out with you on a Monday. Basketball is back. It's the PHLY Sixers podcast, hanging out with you as we've got some hoops to talk about, everybody. And we have Bet365 for you as well. Maybe you want to lay down a little bit of a wager on Thursday for a preseason game. Maybe you want to talk about also Major League Baseball playoffs getting started, and certainly the NFL. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365 with 90 million users worldwide, live streams at 780,000 events a year, and they have pioneered live in-game betting. And look, we've got some football tonight. It's a Monday night football game as well in the National Football League, and with that, you get a 50% profit boost token on same game parlay. So get ready, everybody. You got 2 games tonight, so you need to decide which one you want to maybe throw that on there and figure it out in the moment. You do that with Bet365. And the breaking news there, new customers, if you want to sign up, you get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Win or lose, sign up, use code PHLY365, deposit $10, place a bet for $5, and you get $200 in bonus bet if your bet wins or loses. Make sure you go sign up right now, because whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And look, we all need some help for those things we have to do around the house. And Ace Hardware Home Services is the place you want to go, because if you got that outlet that you said you would fix last summer, we all make the excuses. Oh, I just don't know how, or I don't have enough time. Stop making excuses. At Ace Hardware Home Services, they've got the person to fix that, because now they're not just the helpful hardware folks, they're also the helpful home service and repair folks. From plumbing and electrical to heating and cooling, they've got trusted professionals to keep your home humming all year long. At Ace Hardware Home Services, they're bringing the helpful home, the helpful you love, from the store now to your front door, from Philly and to the Jersey Shore. Visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at acehardwarehomeservices.com to get you started on your next project.
And hey, guys, I have some good news for you, potentially, right? We love that you're part of our PHLY community. We're always looking to make our shows better and understand how you listen, where you listen, what you value. So we have a quick survey we want you to take. Your feedback helps us shape the content you love and make it even better. It takes a few minutes, but it makes a big impact. So go to allphly.com/survey. Let your voice be heard. Everyone who responds has a chance to win a $100 Amazon gift card. All you got to do, fill out the survey, take a few minutes, tell us about what you think, what you like, what you don't like. We appreciate you for that. And good luck. Maybe you'll get $100 to Amazon.
Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers podcast here, presented by Rothman Orthopedics and our good friends from Ford. All right, Derek, Joel Embiid, we got a chance not just to see him on Media Day, we got the chance to see him right away on Saturday when we walked in the gym. He is out there on the floor. He is in full gear, and apparently he did a majority of the stuff as far as practice goes for Nick Nurse and the squad.
Yeah, Nick was a little bit cagey, a tiny bit, but he said
I'm
that
shocked that they weren't exactly 100% straightforward.
He
about
did
Joel's
say
health.
on the first practice on Saturday that he did live portions of practice. So he didn't do all of it, but did most of it. And we're like, well, did he run up and down the courts? I guess he ran. Okay, but did he play 5-on-5? You don't really know 100%, but it sounds like he was doing most of it. And Sunday was a planned day off. He looks. Again, we don't necessarily see a ton of practice, but he looks good. He looks like he's moving okay. There wasn't a big cumbersome brace on his knee like there was last year. Look, he's fundamentally just doing more and looking better at this point this year than he was last year. And it's encouraging. And we all know the caveats of, tomorrow could be a bad day.
One day at a time. And I'm listening to my body. And yada,
but we haven't really gotten a bad report at all up to this point. So I am being cautiously optimistic. Even just the fact that he is traveling over to Abu Dhabi. Yeah. That's a long flight. And we speculated beforehand whether or not he would. Look, and obviously none of us, at least I don't want to speak for you guys. I don't expect him to play in these preseason games. Like I said,
I would be floored if he plays.
He could have a completely clean bill of health. I don't think Daryl would have him playing in these games. But just the fact that he is traveling over there rather than staying here in Philadelphia or in Camden, working with the trainers, working with rehab specialists and whatnot. Just the fact that he's going on that trip, because this isn't it's pretty much everything that they talked about yesterday. This isn't the easiest trip in the world. This is a long flight. Was it 13 hours?
13 plus. I know
13 plus hours each way. You're going to have to obviously get your back on your time schedules and whatnot. There's a huge time difference. For him to go out there, he has to be feeling okay and in a pretty good place to where he doesn't feel like he has a lot of ground to cover up and make up when they come back.
Yeah.
Look at the big fella right there getting on the plane.
All smiles,
all
baby.
Smiles with Eric.
And I will say, I think that's been one of the things that I took away from the first couple of days, beyond just he's out there practicing and he's in live action and it's not a pick and choose, right? It hasn't sounded like, hey, on Saturday he did this, but then he was out of this, and it sounds more like when he's practicing, he's all in, and then they're going to have more regular maintenance days. Like yesterday, him and Eric Gordon were both off for the day.
Yes.
And
it feels like they were like, hey, Eric, why don't you just take off? A, because you're old, but B, then to put a little less
I had somebody
scrutiny on Joe.
I had somebody message me something to the effect of it was an unk day off. And I was like, that means Kyle Lowry has to be off, by the way. Because if Eric Gordon and Embiid are in the same category, Lowry is certain in the unk category.
And that's a photo from you, Kyle, I think?
Yes, that was. So I posted that, and we can't actually tell if there's any kind of compression sleeve underneath the pants.
Left knee, right?
Yes.
Well, I got you covered, man, because Bree has the other photo that I sent her from when he was sitting down talking to us after practice. You could see that the compression was scrunched down. So by the time we got in there, it could have looked like a sock. That was definitely not a sock. It was definitely his compression scrunched down at that point.
So the thing that I took away
over his pants, by the way,
one, it's not a big bulky brace.
Yes.
Exactly.
Right? That's the big thing that I was looking for, right? Because he's been very open about hating the brace, the lack of mobility and fluidity that he felt having it. So this appears to be his approach, his and the team and the medical team's approach is you're going to have to take a little bit of risk on that, right? But he will have better mobility and fluidity potentially. But the other thing for me was more the demeanor, right? More just kind of looking at how is Joel interacting with teammates? How does Joel look as he's going through post-practice shooting, or even yesterday, right? Where he's just watching. And he was very engaged with the VJ Maxey one-on-ones. He's very engaged with just like, he's calling for an N1 after VJ made a great runner, going over Maxey to his left, right, and he's whooping and hollering. He's very spirited in his half-court shooting competitions. Like, demeanor-wise, he seems to be doing well. And I will tell you, having been around that guy for quite a long time, you can tell when he's not in a good mood, right? And you can tell when one thing is leading to a bad mood with another thing, leading to another thing. He just seems, from my perspective, to be in a good place and doing the right things, just being a teammate, right? Like pulling VJ aside, like, hey, Tyrese stopped you there, or Tyrese scored on you there. Like, maybe you do this, like this will help you, and just kind of pointing things out that he can do. Like, that's the type of stuff that he talked about at Media Day that we've said we want to see from him, that I think that's great. It's great to start on the right foot for the season, being so engaged with all your teammates and especially the young guys. And oh, by the way, having that clean bill of health.
Well, and now that he's only playing in the dunker spot on offense, maybe he'll be a little healthier.
Yes, playing in the
He was
dunker
joking
spot.
about that, for the record.
Yes, he was. But he should be occasionally being in a dunker spot, because when somebody gets down the paint, hey, little drop off right there. Joel can finish at the rim pretty easily over those guys. And with it, before we get to the mailbag questions, like you said, I'd be surprised if he plays in any of these games over there. The thing that's most important is, number one, he made the trip, so he was cool to get there. He looked fine walking through, as they showed the photos of them arriving there as well. Nurse mentioned that today they'll have their day off. They'll have, of course, their meetings, and they have their set schedules with the NBA because it's an NBA event. They'll have to do all those things in Abu Dhabi. If he can fit in, as Nurse said, there's practices on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, because they play on Thursday and Saturday, and then they come home.
They're out almost immediately after the game on Saturday.
If he can get 2 practices in on those, I'm thrilled. And if he can make it through those 2 practices, I'm happy, because it's just gearing up. We don't know anything. We still have until the 22nd, so we're less than a month away from the start of the season. Last year, we were really, really like, is he going to play at all? We don't know if he's going to play right away, and then we pretty much got it that he wasn't. Right now, like you said, we're hearing more good than bad, so that's just going to lead us into conversations as we get closer and closer to the start of the year. Is he going to be available for Boston? Is he going to be, is he going to be ready to go for game 1? Is he going to be ready to go at least for game 2 at home? Is the home opener? Is Joel going to be on the floor?
I will not. I'm not making any predictions
no,
regarding that guy.
Closer, when we get way closer after some practices and all that stuff.
I'm not making any predictions.
It's a far cry from where we were a year ago at this time in talking about when we were there and he wasn't practicing at training camp in the Bahamas. He just wasn't. He was participating, but he wasn't able to play.
I'm not making any predictions, but if we go 12 games without him playing again, like, I'm just going to lose my mind. Like, that'll be my Joker moment.
No, we'll not be happy.
The messaging and everything we've heard. But
not be happy at all. So good stuff so far from the first 2 days of training camp. They then got on the plane and they head out to Abu Dhabi. Now they're holding falcons and stuff in the lobby out there in Abu Dhabi right now. I
didn't realize falcons are such a thing out there.
I did not either. But
you learn something new every day.
They're holding falcons. The Knicks haven't arrived. Look at that. Look at Kelly and Tyrese Holding the Falcons, I would not. Just tell you that right now. I would not. But they're there. Game's on Thursday. You know we're going to preview it as well tomorrow and Wednesday, and we'll talk about those as we get closer. All right, let's get to the mailbag questions to start some things off here on the Mailbag Monday on the back end of the show. Some good questions coming through, so let's answer some of those questions, Bree. Code Ran, number one, what position will VJ get his first start at whenever he starts on Thursday?
Oh, we're counting preseason?
2.
Yeah, I'd say 2.
I'd say preseason.
I'd say 2. I mean, look, McCain's out.
Grimes is not
Grimes
there.
didn't make the trip, obviously. So yeah, I think
he's the obvious candidate
Yeah.
for the 2-guard spot. The only argument I would have for him is, I was kind of saying this to Kyle earlier, would be Justin Edwards. But I'm giving the number 3 overall pick to Nod over Justin Edwards for a start at the 2-guard position.
Yep. No,
Well,
100%.
frankly, both of them could start.
Technically, yes.
I think they're interchangeable in terms of 2-3 at that point. And
But I mean, would you say that Kelly or Justin is more likely to be that 5th starter? I'd say probably Kelly.
well, since PG's not playing
Are
in
you
the
saying-
preseason,
Oh yeah.
Are you saying day one, like
No,
regular
well,
season? Or are you talking Thursday?
No, preseason. What do we think the start like is because Watford's not 100% either.
we'll probably get there
We'll get
Wednesday.
there.
But I'm just,
Okay.
if we're looking ahead a little bit, Maxey's easy as long as he's playing.
Yeah.
VJ, I think right now there's no real competition for him. So then it's probably Kelly and
And you know me,
big.
I've given Kelly Oubre the nod over most of them all summer. So I'm still sticking
Yeah.
Kelly Oubre with that particular one. But VJ shooting guard, Theo agrees, says shooting guard, obvious.
Yeah.
Densley Richard, Jesse Bond, music lover, everybody's saying shooting guard. So we're going shooting guard there. Also, Theo does say point guard in there, but Maxey's out there. That is where you can get to. Maxey has it going. Let's play him off ball a little bit and let the young fella just find him coming around those screens and all.
Yep.
All right, Bree, what you got for question number 2? Thank you, Code Rand, for that one. Start us off on a Mailbag Monday. Got Andrew C. Belton, NBA. What up, Drew? Who do you think will actually suit up on the first night, which will be the 22nd of October against the Boston Celtics, and who will start? Since there seems to be ambiguity around whether Embiid or George will start the first game of the season, of course, this is an interesting question because we don't know who's going to be available. Paul George is probably the one where you lean and say, all right, he may not be back and ready for game 1.
I would say, yeah, it's weird that I think I'm more dubious on him, but that's
Yes.
just because
Yes.
he's not practicing
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. So,
It's going through individualized workouts, as they like to say.
all right. So who will actually suit up on the first night and who will start?
So we assume Watford, who's not quite day to day, but like they expect him to practice maybe during this trip. So we assume by the regular season he'll be back, right?
Mm-hmm.
At
We're
this
gonna
point, I'm
assume,
going to hope that Joel is fine on opening night.
and we're gonna assume the Grimes situation is resolved some way or another.
Yeah.
For his sake, I hope so.
I'm
I
going-
kind of think VJ is going to start on opening night the way things
And that's
are
because
playing out.
Grimes is leaving this open for competition. And now with the McCain injury, it's down to those two. And if he shows out well, there's no reason for him not to at least get that nod. He can be replaced in the starting lineup if it's not working.
Mhm.
But to start off on opening night, I would probably lean now him getting that nod and Grimes coming off the bench, if not starting a quick 3-guard lineup right away with whoever at the 4 and Embiid at the 5.
So Maxey's the only
He's
stone cold lock.
Lock him
right?
in.
Everyone
Yep.
else, I think, is fluid because Joel and PG are Joel and PG.
Yeah.
Grimes. The thing with Grimes, right, is like if we take the stuff that's out there at face value, that the offer is essentially the qualifying offer for 4 years. To me, that almost says, if we take that at face value, you're being treated as a bench player, right? Like that's bench player money. That is not, we are giving you the starting job on opening night salary, right? And if that's the case, that is, as part of this bigger picture, an indicator that it's VJ's job to lose at that starting spot. I don't know that that's actually the case. And I think Nurse is normally inclined to be like, make the rookie go out and take it. But when you're not with the team and then the rookie is playing well and he's probably going to play in the preseason early and often, I just kind of feel like VJ is going to take that job.
Here's my other thing with the offensive punch now, where you don't have two of them coming off the bench. You might have just one coming off the bench. I could see, I'm not going to say you could see, I could see where it's McCain and Edgecombe coming off the bench together because you have Grimes in the starting lineup with Tyrese Maxey. Now you only have one, and I trusted more where the punch would come from Grimes off the bench because I know I've seen it, whereas I don't know if Edgecombe can do that in that role, and I would prefer to have him play the first 5 minutes. The substitution is early for Grimes to come in. So with that being left open by Grimes, I'm probably not even going with that 3-guard lineup to start off. I'm bringing Grimes off the bench because I need some offensive spark coming off the bench early.
And someone who can dribble.
Because McCain's not there. Because McCain's not there. So I'm probably putting him on the bench because of that by default.
Yeah, pure guess, I would say Maxey, VJ, Oubre, Paul George, Embiid, if those guys are all
Now, if George
available.
is not ready, Kelly Oubre starts. Who's your 4 if Watford is not healthy? Are you going Oubre and somebody else, like Oubre, and then you put Edwards in the starting lineup? Or is this a Barlow, Walker?
I think that's very much, we have to see what these guys look like in the preseason.
Just a hypothetical.
Yeah.
Just wanted to throw it out there because if George is not there, Kelly starts, then what?
Yeah. No, it's a good question. I think Kyle's probably right. You have to see him play in the preseason because George is the one that I'm least confident will be ready to go.
I don't like when you guys don't want to play the game that I want to play.
I'll get back. Calm down. I'll give you a freaking lineup, right?
Hypothetical Harry.
I will say though, like I'm not going to read too much into the Grimes thing because I think that's mostly a result of an owner who doesn't want to pay the luxury tax more than it is a evaluation of either the front office or the coaching staff. Like when Nick wants to win games, I don't think he's going to factor that in too much. Now, where it does come into play is like you've got this kid with the 3rd pick that you obviously are very invested in developing. You're way less invested in a guy who's probably going to walk as an unrestricted free agent next year. I think that's legitimate. But I don't think necessarily like Josh Harris not wanting to pay a luxury tax for a team that is uncertain in how the season will unfold is a reflection of Nick. So I still think there's a decent chance that Grimes could start. My bigger concern is that he's just not going to have a lot of time to get ready. And I think that might be legitimate. In terms of a starting lineup, I'm going to assume Paul George isn't ready. So I will say Maxey. I will go. I'll go Grimes, Oubre, Watford will be my group around Embiid.
Boo.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
But I think regardless, I think VJ takes the starting spot pretty quickly. Just maybe not day one.
Did we talk about that before? Like at what point of the season?
I think we did, yeah.
Because
we're
going to talk about it probably 7 more times.
And I'll probably change my mind 4 times. So
yeah, I thought
if VJ plays horribly on Thursday, then it's right back to boy, Grimes gotta beat him out in the competition.
Yeah.
So we'll go back and forth on this.
Yeah. So might be earlier than we expected for him to get a starting role. All right. What's the next question on the Mailbag Monday? TK76. If Sixers get reasonably good health and production from Embiid and George, what areas would hold them back from being a legit contender? Something fixable in the Oubre Drummond deadline trade or just enough talent? Just not enough talent.
I don't think there's anything shocking here. I think some of it is just how their resources are allocated, right? They have a bunch of young players, so that's an area that would hold them back, right? Experience wins the day in the playoffs a lot of the time. They have a lot of guys in the backcourt and not a ton in the front court. So the hole at the 4 could be a major issue. The tough part is there's not, to the point that Paul George made at media day, there aren't just like 4s falling off of trees that could come in and immediately help this team, right? They're not just like, hey, you walk outside and there's a starting power forward or there's a guy who plays power forward at all, right? We bring up Tari Eason all the time because Tari Eason is the type of player that largely doesn't really exist anymore. And so,
reports also that they're not going to get an extension done off of his rookie contract too.
So it's tough to be like, hey, they can definitely fix the 4 problem because really it's about could you turn like Grimes or could you turn, in the example TK used, the Oubre Drummond contracts and let's say multiple first-round picks into a high-level wing, right? A wing who is good enough to be, you are the 3. You're the guy who starts every night. Paul George is at the 4, VJ's at the 2, or Grimes, whatever, however they arrange it. Is there a guy who upgrades the wing spot in a meaningful way? Because, like, by and large, if you're trying to fit it into, it's got to be a power forward. There just aren't a lot of guys like that. What you want is a multi-skill wing who rebounds well enough and also shoots well enough that you can kind of make it up in the aggregate, right? And also because Joel Embiid should be doing a lot of the rebounding if he's healthy. So I think youth is a big one, and I think the lack of, or the abundance of guards versus what they lack in the front court is the other thing.
Yeah. No, it's a lot like last year where it's like, well, there's an obvious positional hole. There's a skill set in terms of rebounding that maybe some of these, minimums and two-way signings might help you out with, but you would love for somebody who's a little more of a complete player that can sort of give you that. Also, just like Kyle said, I do think youth and inexperience is big. And a lot of the youth and inexperience are people you want in the rotation, people you don't want to trade, obviously. So it's going to be tough to fill that hole, especially if you don't have Quentin Grimes on a tradable contract because you were too concerned about the luxury tax. So we will see. I do think they will still have some flexibility at the deadline with those first-round picks, with Drummond, with Oubre. But yeah, I mean, a big wing and or a power forward if one falls into your lap.
All right, let's get to the next question here. Rolling through. UC49, each of you picked the 5-man lineup you want to play the most minutes together, and one you think Nurse will play the most, assumes health, of course, with the laughing emoji. Thank you, Busey.
I mean, this for me is easy. Maxey, McCain, VJ, Paul George, Embiid.
Yeah.
That's the one I want.
I'm in alignment, right? Because you have to see what those 3 guards look like together. And then it's your other 2 best players.
It's one thing when we talk about like who do we predict will start on opening night or who do we think will start on Thursday. It's another thing, who do I want to see play next to each other? And obviously there's massive concerns over whether they can hold up defensively, but that's why I want to see them.
It's all about those guards, those 3 right there. It's all about them, and I have nothing to add to that one just because.
So who do we think Nurse will play the most? And let's just say this is for at the end of 82 games, assuming health.
Embiid, Maxey for sure. George.
I think Oubre is in that group.
I say Oubre and Edgecombe.
It's the last spot that's up for debate.
It's a tough bet to make for a rookie.
I know, but for whatever reason, I just think he's going to show out well.
And look, man, as the 5th guy, all the intangible, he just is going to make effort, athleticism plays, stuff like that plays great if the other guys do their job.
And you're talking about that youth with those, and Tyrese is still young, even though he's a vet now in year 6, but that youth with those vets, you're going to need some of that infusion out there on the floor. And while the shooting would be there from McCain, he's still smaller. Yeah. Where Edgecombe is 6'5", and he can still do the defensive stuff that they may need. Now, Grimes is not in that as we just laid out that lineup, but I would say the 5th for me is Edgecombe with what Nurse. Even though despite veteran coaches don't like to do that with the young guys.
I hope
it's number 3 pick and he might pop.
I hope you're right, because on the one hand, I don't think it's going to be McCain, because I think defensively that's going to be too challenged. Like, I want to see that group a lot, but part of that's for evaluation. I think at some point you're going to be concerned about them on defense. I don't think it's going to be Grimes, because they're just not going to be invested in it, which is weird, because he might have a no-trade clause, which means he might be guaranteed to be here all year. But if they don't feel comfortable that he's going to come back as an unrestricted free agent, then they're going to prioritize VJ, obviously. But so I want it to be VJ, but it is also a rookie.
While you think about that, let's tell everybody that we're going to overtime, allphly.com. Thank you on the television side. Welcome back for another week. And we have basketball, so make sure you stick with us all week long, 3 p.m., right here on the show. And as soon as the game is done on Thursday, it's going to be right around 3 p.m. So you might want to be here with us for a post-game show right here on allphly.com. We'll see you then.
By the way, let me just say, because Bree has been asking very nicely, if you are in here and there are a couple hundred of you in here, hanging out. We appreciate you for that. Hit the damn like button to make super producer Bree happy. It helps out us. It helps out Bree. It helps out the channel.
So you're saying it should be a couple
takes,
hundred likes?
Takes very little
Come
effort,
on.
and it makes all of us very happy, but especially super producer Bree. So please take a second to do that for us.
I'll add to that. We're trying to get to 50,000 subscribers now. We're at 49 and a half. We're trying to get to 50. Tell a friend to tell another friend to tell another friend, especially if you're in the office and you're watching the show. Maybe you shouldn't, but you can whisper over to your coworker at the other desk and, the other side. Hey, a little basketball, a little excited. PHLY Sixers.
Share the love.
PHLY Sports. Your football team is undefeated. Your baseball team is number 2 seed in the National League. And the Flyers, some good buzz. Subscribe. Make sure, so like and subscribe, please. And let's get us to that 50,000 subscribers.
All right, I'm going to finally answer the question.
Cool.
I think it's going to be Quentin Grimes. Here's why. Because I think they're going to end up signing that 1-year balloon, not real balloon, but maybe $10 million, a mini balloon.
Oh man.
Yeah. Give him an
balloons
extra,
for everyone.
Give him an extra $1.5 million or something to get rid of that no trade clause. They're going to be incentivized to trade or to play him a lot in the first 2/3 of the season to maintain his trade value. And I think he's just the most natural fit, quite frankly. So I think it's going to be Quentin in part to keep his trade value up.
Okay, so let me throw a curveball at you. I don't think it's out of the question it could be Maxey, Edgecombe, Grimes, George, Embiid.
I agree.
Because think about it from multiple angles. One, I think that could just straight up be their best lineup, period, right? The best mix of defense, athleticism, shooting, just two-way team. That 5 could be it. I know that it's a bit small. We're going to have rebounding concerns, whatnot. It could just be their best group. 2, Kelly Oubre could be moved by the deadline, right? And so if Kelly Oubre gets traded or Kelly Oubre just watches his role dwindle, Grimes and Edgecombe are 2 of the guys that are naturally going to play more and are naturally going to be elevated in that instance. And you could easily see a world where to get them on the floor more, it's at Kelly's expense and he begins to fall out of those lineups, right? So if he's traded, though, it might be for an upgrade, and then that guy could be a factor in okay, now it's player to be named later in the Oubre spot, Grimes, Maxey, George, Embiid, or Edgecombe in the Grimes spot, whatever. But that is a group that I have a lot of interest in. Like, if we take Jared out of the equation and we all kind of agreed on what we want to see the most lineup-wise, I do think a very close second for me is that exact group. And if you're Nick Nurse, it's like those are easily 5 of your best players, easily 5 of your most versatile players. It might be as simple as that at the end of the day.
Here's the real answer. If we're talking about a lineup, the most used lineup at the end of the year that has Embiid, Paul George, and Tyrese Maxey, I don't really care what the other 2 are because we've had so much good luck. Oh my God.
God, that would be great.
All right. Let's get to, do we have any more, Bree?
One more.
All right, let's get to it. Wow. Trezzolini. All right.
Is Bona a proper backup center at this point?
Go check out our video that we put together, and it's up there at allphly.com, our YouTube page, and you can go check it out. We talked about the backup minutes between Bona and Drummond. So what are your thoughts?
Short version is we got to wait and see.
Yep.
Right? I think all of us are fairly bullish on Bona and his upside as at least a backup rotation level big, but he has some things that he has to prove are not fatal flaws. I think mainly the ability to shot block and rebound, right? That's kind of the holy grail for big men. Right now, the Dem is a terrific shot blocker, not so much as a rebounder, right? So figuring out the middle ground there, when to challenge, when to chase the block shot, the second jump and the box out, all those little technique things. We actually have heard some positive reviews, unsurprisingly, about a Dem early in training camp. I believe it was Tyrese Maxey, I think, said that it feels like he's just worlds different and more mature this camp.
Yep. Yeah, it was Maxey, and he talked about, obviously, Eurobasket. Now that's helped prepare him. He's come in with more confidence and all that. Yep, that was Maxey.
Yeah.
And then I think it was Nick who said that he's setting records in the weight room. So apparently he
listen,
muscle watch.
But those are the things we make fun of muscle watch and all that, right? But the one thing you can definitely say about Edem,
no, he is
cut. In shape, right? Like you could look at that guy and he's like carved from granite, basically. So Edem is in great shape. He's got another year of experience under his belt. Multiple people have brought up the Eurobasket experience, and some people in the chat have also pointed out, like, he played in some double big lineups there with Şengün. Now, Şengün, different style of player than Joel Embiid. Eurobasket and international ball, also a different style than tends to be played in the NBA. There are a bunch of different quirks that go into that. But yeah, I think all of us are fairly bullish on Mr. Bona.
That dude's been playing all summer, from Summer League to pickup games to Eurobasket. He's been playing basketball all summer. As he said to me and Derek on that Saturday at the ping pong spot, playing more basketball doesn't hurt. He said it's good to be playing basketball, and he's right back to it when it comes to training camp and getting ready for the start of his second season. All right, that'll do it for us here on this Monday, a mailbag and a review of the weekend of practices. No practices for us, everybody, because they're in Abu Dhabi and we're not. So with that, we'll bring you some other things. We'll certainly get ready for the first game on Thursday as the Sixers take on the New York Knicks.
Maybe spend an hour looking at 6-second Instagram reels and analyze that.
Why not?
Thursday.
Why not?
We all can't wait for Thursday.
Falcon review, all of it.
All right, we'll do a power. What's your Mount Rushmore of birds? Got to go with the bald eagle.
Got to go with the bald eagle. I guess you got to put Falcon in there since we just talked about it. The pigeon.
I don't know if the Falcon would make it.
The pigeon makes it because we just see those on a daily basis. And
pigeon.
Got to put the pigeon in there, man. Show us some love. Yeah, you don't have to like it. You just, it's there.
Hummingbird.
Ooh,
the way they're able to hover like that is incredible.
Yeah.
No hawks.
Also necessary.
Yeah,
by the way. They'll die if
no,
they
well, a
suck.
hawk stole my drone, so he's down on my power rankings.
They're
for sure.
vicious too, boy. Yeah. Oof.
I mess with the pelicans are really cool. If you
Pelicans
ever see
are
a
cool.
pelican up close.
Yeah.
Honestly, crows and ravens, like they are incredibly smart.
Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
All right, Mount Rushmore birds.
I think I'm one of those would probably, but they're nasty.
They can be nasty, and they can hold a grudge too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No love for like a parrot. Nice color.
Macaw.
Say
It's
words.
Yeah. The pelican, like you said, the
flamingo
is there.
Yeah, flamingo I think is up.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's a lot of really cool birds.
A lot of cool birds. Yeah.
How many of them will you? Are you out on holding all of them?
Yeah, I'm done. It's just not happening. Stay away. That's all. If you see OG Anunoby, if you go to the Knicks Twitter account, you see OG Anunoby go like this, and it moved. He was like, "Oh, man, that's
Eugene
me."
said a red-tailed hawk and says Animorphs. Yeah, shout out to the good Tobias, Eugene.
Oh,
That's some Animorphs
shout out 12
being dropped right now.
No,
there's a different Tobias. I don't know his last name.
You say Tobias, I go 12.
No.
Shout out 12.
Shout out to the real Tobias.
All right, everybody. It's time for the world famous. It's a roll call. Thanks, everybody.
Eugene,
for
if the
today.
Yerks ever get you, I got your back, brother. I will find you and I will save you. Thank you, everybody who was here today for the show. Everyone getting pretty excited, at least, let's say a little excited for the Sixers season, getting into that optimism mode. We appreciate that. We appreciate you, even if you are still mad about the Sixers, as most of us normally are. Thank you. First of all, I'll say thank you to Jeff, who joined the Supporters Club in the middle of the show. Thank you to Jeff for supporting the channel and the show as we creep toward 50,000 subscribers. You're the man, Jeff. Thank you also to Larry K. To Mom's grandchildren. What's up to Mom?
Hey.
Joaquin from Cherry Hill. Jay to Jungle. We have a Prince Blue sighting for the first time in a while. Immediately coming in talking about how tight my pants are or not. Roasting me as always. Good to see you again. And now he is apparently Dr. Prince Blue.
Congrats.
Doctor or what? I got to find that out. You tell me off the air if you'd like, my friend. Glenn A., Elaine Bruno, Jesse Bond, Win Forever, Music Lover 31.
Play that music.
Eugene Ross. Shout out to the Animorphs. Ron,
What
Tony
up, Aaron?
C. Darkness in the building.
Turn the lights down I'm trying to think of who we should turn the light. I'll think
On
about
the
it.
U.S. Ryder Cup team. How about that?
All right, that's
Turn
fair.
the lights down
That
on
is
those
fair.
guys.
Turn the lights down for the U.S. Ryder Cup team. Turn the lights
Thank
down.
you to Densley hanging out as always. Thank you to Theo.
Theo, what up?
Lee Nguyen, John Monroe Jr.,
What up,
Jess
Johnny?
with the Purple Heart. Of course, my girl Nona, who was my hype woman in the chat today. Thank you to Val. Thank you to Gabriel
Hey, ladies.
Rosario. Thank you, Gabriel, for coming through.
What up, Gabe?
Kay Taylor, Marcus Blackstock, who's always here with us. Thank you to Dave P. Thank you to everybody, even if your name was
What up,
not
Mark?
called
What up,
or
Dave?
you weren't in the chat. We love you all. I'm going to say it again. 200 plus people are in here, and not that many likes are on this video. Hit that thumbs up button to make sure super producer Bree can sleep at night, because she's so happy and content from seeing those thumbs ups that she can get a nice long night of peaceful
Turn the
sleep.
lights down on the New York Mets.
Turn the
Oh,
lights down
boom.
on the Mets and Peter
No,
Lonzo.
turn it up. Make that shame felt in the spotlight, baby. Fuck out of here, New York Mets.
He doesn't care about baseball, but he cares about the Mets.
Did you see that report that he's opting out Peter Lonzo?
The owner's
Okay,
going to sell the
dude.
team.
Turn the lights down.
Turn
for
them
the
up and
Mets.
turn
Mr.
'em
Meth,
off.
that's your problem.
I'll always take a pot shot at a Philadelphia rival. I don't care if I pay attention to the sport. Anyway, thumbs up on the video. Hit the subscribe. Hit the like again. Hit the bell icon so you get notifications
Hit
each
all
and
the
every time we
likes.
go live.
What up, Bald Eagle?
Tomorrow, we'll be back once again at 3 o'clock, as we always are. Until then, stay safe. Have fun. Take care of one another. Goodbye.
See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.